Colorado, Mr. Lamborn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Madam Secretary. It's good to have you back. I remember when we served together on this committee, so welcome. The National Park Service is a great asset to our nation. In 2023, NPS recorded 325 million visits at more than 400 federal sites. With the fact that these parks are the jewels of America, and I've been to over 300 of them myself, I must continue to ask about the quality of guest visits. Many of our concessionaires stand ready and waiting to take up the slack. Our concessionaires are constantly judged, however, on some unknown and ambiguous criteria. And while the Commercial Visitor Services Concession Contracts Rule went into effect earlier this year, I still find some concern at the amount of transparency. Will you commit to a more transparent process for the concessionaire contracting process?
Thank you so much for the question, and of course, we always love to be more transparent. I'll take a look at this when I get back to the office and see how that is going forward. But we rely on our concessionaires.
Very good, thank you. Has NPS considered looking to the concession industry to support immediate capital investment needs?
I couldn't answer that, but I would get with Chuck Sams and find out and make sure we got back with your office.
Okay, thank you. Because I would like to explore how NPS can allow for increased capital investment from willing concession industry members under existing contracts to improve the park guest experiences. So I think with some creativity, flexibility, and willingness to work together, we could make some really good gains there.
I appreciate that.
Now, changing subjects, since the Biden administration took office, 3.5 million acres of working federal lands have been locked up through antiquities designations, resource management plans, with mineral withdrawals, etc. The most egregious land lockup is the administration's Land Conservation and Health Rule, which will allow so-called mitigation and restoration leases to lock up tens of thousands of acres per lease across the country. Now, your agency states that the authority to implement this rule comes from 43 CFR Part 2920. However, Section 2920.1 clearly states that the only authorized uses for leases under this section are for residential, agricultural, industrial, and commercial uses. There's no mention of mitigation and restoration. Do you really think that this rule will stand up to legal challenge in court?
Congressman, thank you for the question. And I do want to say that with this rule, we engaged in a robust and transparent public process. Many people had opportunities to weigh in, including our hunters, anglers, outdoor recreation enthusiasts. This rule will not inhibit any current grazing leases or anything like that. And I want you to know that everybody thought about so many of these things when they were working through the rule, and I feel confident that we have done it in the right way.
Well, it's my belief, though, that whether or not it breaks existing leases, it expands the definition of leases to unintended areas that Congress never authorized. And that's why we're doing a CRA on this issue like this week. And we're going to send it over to the Senate, and hopefully they can repeal this rule. In Colorado, and let me ask you about another subject. In the first 3 years under your control, the department has held one lease sale in Colorado, leasing a single 290-acre parcel, bringing in $1.2 million in revenue to state and federal governments. And it looks like BLM has one scheduled upcoming lease sale in Colorado for a mere 120 acres. This lease sale, along with the only other lease sale that I just mentioned, shows neglect of the western slope of Colorado. Will you commit to holding more lease sales on the western slope of Colorado this year?
Congressman, I do want to just say, because I haven't said it yet, that production on public lands is at an all-time high. And so we have been doing our jobs. Onshore in the last 2 years, the BLM has sold the drilling rights to more than 230,000 acres onshore.
But what about, excuse me for interrupting, what about in Colorado? there's only been one lease sale.
I beg your pardon. In Colorado specifically, we are moving forward with what we are required to do, and I'm happy to get back with you on any specific areas in Colorado if that is what you would prefer.
Okay, we'll look forward to that. Thank you, and I yield back.
Thank you.
Gentleman's time has expired. The chair now recognizes the gentlelady from New Mexico, Ms. Stansberry.